Wait till I'm gonna let the live stream start.
Okay.
All right. Welcome to your high school sports, The Zone. I'm with Chris Reddick, and he is we're talking football with Chris Reddick. And Chris, welcome to The Zone. I know you are most of the time behind the scene.
Yes, sir. I am normally behind the scenes. As you can see, I got my camera right here, and I'm actually doing some behind the scene work as we speak. I'm here in Elizabeth, Tennessee at T.A. Duggar Junior High School. So I just finished recording an 8th grade game, which I'll go ahead and give you the report there. T.A. Duggar just shut out John Sevier of Kingsport 56-0.
You're all over the place. You're doing junior high. You do our game of the week. You're our producer for the game of the week every week. But what I want to talk to you about now, we're into this thing again with this COVID deal.
Yes.
And with this COVID, some of the games have already been canceled. You've got the Elizabethan and Ray County game already canceled for this week. What do you think about that?
Well, Roddy, it's pretty surprising. I didn't think we'd be at this point at this time of year. I know we've been hearing that second wave has been coming. We did pretty good in the spring, but here in the last few weeks, it's just been pretty terrible. And believe it or not, I think we have a worse start than we did last year. And I believe one of the reasons is because it's affecting the kids more. So with that being said, even though a lot of people has been vaccinated, affecting the kids more, of course, is going to affect athletics on this level. So already we're in week 2 and we've already have all these cancellations happening. So it's just interesting to see what's going to happen from this point forward.
We were talking about it and like last year, we got probably 3 games into the season before we started having the COVID issues and having the schools kind of start this thing. But like you said, we have been it started earlier because some of the kids are already getting. I know one school here in Cott County has already had 17 kids out. So, when we get to this point, I don't know how things are going to work. Nobody knows how things are going to work, but we got to be safe with the kids. The kids are the number one priority, but there's 2 games in your area this week. Daniel Boone and West Ridge have already canceled. So yes. I think my opinion is we need to make sure it may be going back to what we did last year. Only so many fans can come to the game because we got to make sure that those kids are safe and the fans too.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Like I said, it's going to be interesting. I believe they're going to really take a look at the next few weeks, see how things turn out. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start stepping back and going the way we used to be with the games last year. But, we got to be honest, revenue is a big part of this, and the schools need that revenue to function. And football is one of the biggest sports that brings in that revenue. So I think, like you said, when you look at the big picture, though, the health is more important, especially for the kids. So I believe that the TSSAA is going to do what's needed to be done if that was to occur here in the next few weeks. So we'll find out. Like I said, only time will tell.
Well, I'm looking at the whole picture here. With our game, we got a game tomorrow night with Alcoa. Alcoa played Ray County last week. Mm-hmm. And where we're at now is the main thing, Chris, is football season. But like you said, the revenue, the schools have to have that revenue, but we have got to make sure that these kids are safe. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's most important. Always most important. Like I said, it's that game of tug of war. Mm-hmm. You only can play tug of war for so long too. Like you said, you got to do the right thing and make the right decision. So, let's
I got you. Let's talk about Elizabethton now.
Yes, sir.
Two-time defending state champions. You've had a chance to look at them and kind of analyze them. You kept telling me, it's not – they have to not beat themselves. They have to stay focused on – they got that bullseye on their back. So how do you define them? How do you see them right now at this point?
Well, I'll tell you what. Just had some video clips sent to me. Shout out to Mr. Lee Woodby, who was actually here at the game. He handles the huddle for all of the athletics from the junior high school level up to the high school level. And not to drift from the question, but I just want to let you know something about Lee Woodby. I told him, I said, I may do a story on him because the advancement of the camera use and iPads and everything on the high school level is extremely different than it was just a few years ago. But anyway, back to the point of Elizabethton Cyclone. Yes, the big target is on their back, which is a good thing. You want that target on your back. But the thing is, it's going to be the challenge mentally is how are you going to prepare each and every game, knowing that the target's on your back? Because remember, Roddy, it's not only that they're two-time defending champions that people are after. Here in Upper East Tennessee, they're going for a record. Now, the record I'm talking about is the number of consistent wins. Mm-hmm. They are challenging, I believe, an old record from Dobbins Bennett. Dobbins Bennett has, I think, in the 40s, somewhere in the mid to late 40s as far as consecutive wins. So Elizabethton's right behind them. I think they're tied now with one of the Greenville teams. So they will catapult past them. Speaking of Greenville, by having to play Greenville, we'll see. But people are looking to take an L, give them their first L. So it's not always just a fact about taking down a champion, but they want to be able to be the first to give them that L and to not be able to go any further to break the record. So really, it's a mental game at this point. They got to look in the mirror and understand that everybody's coming after them. No game is going to be a light game. They've got a heavy schedule in the first half of the year. So they got to look at every game as a championship week game.
Well, the way you've put that, they got to look in the mirror and understand themselves as a football team. They lost some heavy duty weapons last year, but they still have Mr. Rollins back. They have their quarterback, and he can't do anything but get better and better. So where do you see, if there is a weakness on that team, where is it at?
Where is the weakness? That is a good question. You said a good point there. They did lose a few key players. They lost 3 of their linemen from last year. And I believe all the linemen got scholarships or playing second, on the next level. But of course, they lost Mr. Football Parker Hughes. We know all about him. We know how great of a player he is. He's down at Middle Tennessee State playing right now. So some key weapons have been lost. But here's the good thing: when you got a program like Elizabethton and you build up a program like Elizabethton from when they're little all the way up, it's just a game of replacement, getting those guys experience early in the games, and then keeping the track running. Now, I will tell you this though, linebacker is going to be an interesting spot to point out.
Right.
We lost Deuce Morton, one of the key players. He's the all-time, I think, leading tackle for Elizabeth. He's off playing college ball as well. So we got some young guys that are going to be filling those shoes, getting experience. But we've got some good linebackers that are replacing him, but they're just young and getting experience. Also, one of our starters at linebacker, Blake, he's out. So he was one of our leading linebackers last year. He's out, not because he's graduated, because he's on the injured list. So that's going to be a key position to watch for the Cyclones.
Well, I tell you what, let's talk about other schools up there. Let's talk about, you still got last week, Elizabethton really put a whooping, as I say, on Science Hill. You always think Science Hill, Coach, they're putting me in the mind of Maryville and Alcoa. Alcoa may lose one game, but they won't lose any more and then win the state championship. See, Science Hill's not to that point yet, but they always have a very good football team. Now you got another team that's coming up there is Dobbins Bennett. Dobbins Bennett is a very good football team. So up in that market, plus there's some small schools. You got UNACA, you got Hampton, you got Cloud, and you got some very good football teams. But talk a little bit about the area, Chris.
Okay, I'll give you a quick synopsis. We'll just start there with Science Hill. You just mentioned Science Hill having a good football team. This is a good football team, even though like Elizabeth got the victory over them.
Yeah.
The problem this year Science Hill is going to have to face, unfortunately. Remember that tough schedule they had last year?
Yes.
I believe Coach Carter said, how can we make it tougher? Because they got Maryville. Of course, they got Elizabeth. Of course, they got Dobbins-Bennett on the schedule. They got Anderson County. Oh, it's a torturous schedule that they have to play.
Yes.
But the thing is, it's just going to make them better. And the key is, I believe with this Science Hill team, if they can just get to the playoffs and get to a higher seed to where I mentioned they play Maryville. You don't want to repeat playing a Maryville in the playoffs. So that's going to be key for Science Hill. Let's move on to Dobbins-Bennett. Dobbins-Bennett lost a lot of key players. They lost a quarterback, lost 2 outstanding running backs. So they're in the replacement stage. But once again, Dobbins-Bennett is a program just like the Science Hills and Elizabethans. They're able to replace players. So they're going to be challenging probably for the number one. Science Hill, Dobbins-Bennett, they're going to look to be challenging for that number one position. You move on, of course, to let's go back into Carter County. Carter County is going to be interesting. You already got Cloudland. I believe they're starting off real nice in the top 10 in the state. So that's your second Carter County team. Hampton, I believe they're ranked in the state. It's your third Carter County team. And then speaking of Cloudland's back up to them, they've got an interesting challenge this week. Normally this would be a game that they wouldn't have much problem is against Unaka, but this is going to be a Carter County rival battle that the people want to look out for, which we're going to have Mike Hines be out to discover that because Unaka has 2 outstanding players. This is a brother duo, quarterback and receiver. So they got the dynamic brother duo. The quarterback's a junior. The receiver is a all-state player returning. So these are the Ramsey boys. The Ramsey boys, you want to watch and look out for them. They also got an outstanding running back Unaka has. So Cloudland's big and strong. They always usually come in big and strong, but Unaka has weapons. So that's going to be interesting to see if Unaka can come out of normally they're kind of dwellers, to see they kind of rise and compete for Cloudland to maybe get that number one spot. Of course, let's jump into Greenville. Greene County has outstanding football as well as Carter County. Greene County let's talk South Greene first. South Greene, Luke Myers, he's coming back. He's a quarterback. He is a Mr. Football finalist from last year. I thought for some reason, I don't know, I thought this guy was gone. This kid was gone. This kid is tough. I watched him play last year in a playoff game, and this kid is a tough kid. This team, South Greene, came just an interception away. You take an interception away at the end of the game, they could have beat a good Daniel Boone team. And guess what? South Greene is just a double-A team. So, great football. And then, of course, Greenville. What else can we say about Greenville? Greenville is a team that's a powerhouse team. Guys, Greenville has not gone away just because they've been down the last couple of years. And what I mean by down, meaning they just didn't win a championship, but they always have still been good. But this team returns just about everybody, all the key weapons. They got Mason Gudger, the running back who actually did work against Elizabeth last year with some big plays, big touchdown plays. They got the quarterback, Quillen. He's healthy. They got, check this out, Mr. Basketball, not a finalist, Mr. Basketball is on the team. Gillespie, who gave fits with Parker Hughes last year. That was always a nice battle to see if Parker could get that long ball on him. Yeah. Gillespie's so athletic and great jumping ability, great speed. He was always winning that battle on the long ball. So he's going to be back. So Greenville, Coach Spratlin, Eddie Spratlin, he's got something special with this Greenville team, which is going to be coming in to Elizabethton, not this week, but next Friday to take on a state championship team. So anyway, that's a quick synopsis of what's happening here in Upper East Tennessee. Of course, there's some other teams we can talk about, but those are some of the key.
We will. Next week, we'll visit a lot more of the teams. I think, Chris, we've covered a little bit of it. Tomorrow night, you guys got Alcoa versus GP. That's your high school sports game of the week. You can see on our Facebook channel. I tell you what, should be a good game. Alcoa came out with a win last week against Ray County, and GP lost a heartbreaker in overtime to Seymour. What do you see happening in that game tomorrow night?
Well, what I see happening tomorrow night is I believe Gatlinburg Pittman is feeling a little sore from that surprising loss in overtime. And if you remember last year, Gatlinburg-Pittman gave Alcoa fits in the playoffs in the first half. Of course, Alcoa woke up, and some of it was due because of some Alcoa mistakes.
Yeah.
They end up taking off with a big win in halftime. But let this be said, Alcoa understands that GP has now risen to where they're competing, to where they're not just a 4-3 team finishing third and fourth. They're finishing second, and this game is a key game. I know it's played early, but this is kind of a championship week game for Gatlinburg-Pittman. Gatlinburg-Pittman is going to give it all they got. That's all I can say. But if Alcoa, you know what they do. They've lost, the quarterback, couple good linebackers, but they've got not the quarterback. The quarterback is coming back. That's what I meant to say. Their quarterback for Alcoa is coming back, but they did lose some key linebackers. But this Alcoa team, you know how Coach Rankin is. He's going to have them understanding to be fired up and ready, especially Alcoa playing at home, to where I think he's going to kind of remind them about that playoff game. And just as hungry as GP is, I think he's going to have Alcoa mentally prepared to where it's going to be a nice win. I'm just going to be nice in saying that. I think it's going to be a nice win for Alcoa. I'm not going to tell you a prediction on score, but it'll be a nice win.
Okay. So, Chris, we appreciate you joining us here on The Zone, this Thursday edition of The Zone. A little bit later, we'll be going out to Jake Nichols. He's at Maryville High School, where the Maryville is taking on Powell. And we both know that game, Walter Nolan, the #1 recruit in the nation, is playing in that game. So we'll have Jake a little bit later. So, hey, you have a good one, and we will see you tomorrow.
One more thing, just before you go. I want to test, since you're doing The Zone, I'm out of game, so let me see if I can
that's right.
Switch the perspective here and see if I can give you a little something here. See what we got here.
Give me a little something. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give you a little something here. I know it's a little far there, but we'll see I thought they're going to call a play, but all right, they are going to call a play. I know it's a little distant. I'm not actually in the zone, so we'll work with this, see what's going to happen here. John Severe has the ball. This is the JV team that's playing now. So quarterback rolls that, and hands off, and almost a safety there. But anyway, just want to give you a little quick taste of the
zone.
Of how the zone's going to be, how the guys are. So, it's a junior high game on the JV level that you just saw that play, but I just wanted to test it out.
There you go.
And I know I'm not in the end zone. I'm high up here in the stands, but I wanted to give the people a taste of what they're going to be seeing on Friday.
Well, I tell you what, we appreciate you taking time to talk to us here on The Zone. So we will see you tomorrow.
All right, man. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right.